peaceful environment has so far attracted unprecedented levels of investment. In the last 4.5 years, just in the mining sector, we've attracted well over $12 billion, which means more jobs and more income for Zambians. We will have over 5,000 to 10,000 jobs in Sinda, and we will not rest until every Zambian family feels the benefit of this generational change.
We're on the right path. We are moving forward. Not without struggle, but always forward. There's still much work ahead. And that's why Bali keeps working. Day after day, we will keep delivering. We've started the change. Now let's finish the job. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let us continue to move Zambia forward together.
Lovely, good evening Zambia, good evening Africa, and warm welcome to the analysis program right here on KBN TV from Zambia's capital city Lusaka, with me Innocent Piri as your usual moderator for this particular program. Welcome to this wonderful conversation we're having this evening, Sunday, 20-30 hours via our DSTV channel 279, GoTV channel 27, GoTV channel 27 rather, and Topside Decoder channel 102. You can follow the conversation via our social media platforms. That's our KBN TV Facebook page, as well as Twitter, which you call it YouTube. Of course, in the studio as usual, I've got quite some gentlemen who always come on my set, gun blazing, with a lot of information, but also yearning to comment on these issues, just like you, the viewers out there, are more than ready to have a bite. And as far as the stories, the menu of the analysis is concerned, the 7th of June, the year 2025. We're counting down to the general elections coming up on the 13th of August this year, 2026. Do you have your vote in place, or you don't have it? If you don't have it, then believe me, you're gonna miss something very interesting, because you have the power, you yourself as a viewer out there, to take part in the elections on August 13th by either voting for that particular candidate you want to take over the affairs of the country at parliamentary level, ward level, council chairpersons or mayoral level, but also at presidential level. If you do not do that, then I believe that you run the risk of missing something very exciting. But also, you have got the power to either hire someone and fire someone on the 13th of August 2026. We look at the stories we have this evening. Of course, on top this evening, we begin with the man himself, the big man himself, President Hakainde Hichilema, who was assented into law the 5 bills at State House. That was on Wednesday last week. And among those bills is the free education, which has now been made or turned into law. Very exciting news, very interesting there. Free education in 2021, after the UPND came into power. Later on, there were a lot of debates, around the free education. But HS says we have to make this now into law, so that the adventure the president comes in, you will not ignore this aspect, because this now is part of us. Stay tuned, and let's get into the conversation. Mike Sichula, the speech analyst, joins me on set. Welcome, and happy Sunday to you. Good evening.
Thank you very much, IP, and good evening to you. and good evening to our dear viewers for joining us on this Sunday, like we always do. And we cannot take anything from God because He has made it possible. That's
mentioned. But of course, the comrade himself, my fellow, our fellow revolutionarist, is here in our comrade Chiwoyu Sinyang, where he joins us on set. Comrade, good evening, happy Sunday to you, and welcome to the analysis. You missed out last week, actually.
Good evening, dear viewers, and of course I had a circumstance beyond my control that put me away from the set, but I'm glad to join you, and personally, let me also pass my condolences to you. We are not going to powder you because we need you to be in the best place. But obviously, I mean, the passing of the Mpezeni is obviously a very, very defining, difficult moment for the country, because obviously he's been one of the longest serving paramount chiefs, and also an institution of a human being that he was. So to lose him at this point of our country's trajectory is obviously unfortunate. But like we all know, we believe in the Lord, and we can only ask that our Creator rests his soul in peace.
Thank you so much. I mean, after all, the Bible says there's time to be born.
Exactly.
There's
time for
everything to be called by the Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in form of death, as it were. So we continue commiserating with the family of the Mpenzeni and also the Ngoni-speaking people of Eastern Province. We keep on conversating, but of course, let's get into the discussion, comrades. We look at the big story we have at hand. President Hakainde Hichilema signs into law the free education, among other 4 bills. I mean, at State House last week, it was quite electric, as it were. So let's have some highlights on the screens together with the viewers, in case you did not follow this event at the State House. Let's stay tuned together. We'll listen and watch. Later on, we dive into the chat.
This party from opposition for 23 years, consistently. And when we had the opportunity to occupy public office, we said, this is it. Once we introduced it, we realized that someone may come after us and see things differently. So we said, let's embed it in the law so that every child of Zambia can have the opportunity we had, I had, she had, to go to school. That's the motivation. We build skills for the nation. We build skills for the nation. Not just for the individual child or family, but for the nation. How can we run agriculture and energy and everything without skills? How can we build roads without skills? It's the best investment. And we have now moved education from a social sector to an investment sector, economic sector. So if you hear someone saying education is a social sector, say, no, I can't, man. Please see education in a broader sense. Teacher recruitment to support free education. Construction of classroom space to support free education. Water and sanitation to support education. Pupil-teacher ratio is important. Now we're moving on to competence-based curricula. It's all a package. Opportunity to inform this House that shortly after we were elected, we went to Parliament to legislate against reckless borrowing. There's a law there. Speaker is here. Many people didn't pay attention to it because the debt was acquired through recklessness. A ministry could acquire debt. Line ministry, Ministry of Finance is not aware. How can you run a country like that? How? So me, I'm listening. When people say no, they are coming back, I say, to do what? To occasion more damage, so we can spend 3 years working on the debt restructuring again? The little things we've done in these 4 years and 9 months, we spent 3 years on debt restructuring. Imagine if we came in after the balance sheet was cleaned up in 2011, today this country would have been a totally different place. We lost 10 years after 2011. Totally lost it. And now the colleagues want to come back. To do what? You can change the nameplate that you are now a different creature. You are the same. You can change the name. You can change the t-shirt color. You are the same. This is not a joke. I'm serious. My heart bleeds. I hope your heart bleeds. It's scary that we can bring back damage to our country, which took us 3 years to unwind. We have relatives, yes. We love them. We have nephews, cousins. We love them. But we love the 21 million Zambians more than a small group. So today, we sign into law the pre-education bill. It's law. As you saw me signing, it's now law. Take your children to school. Parents, guardians, take your children to school. There's no excuse. And thank you for the speech from the church, from the students, from the unions. Thank you very much for your speeches. We had a Kadionko in NAPSA of 20%. So we tested good things. Then we said, let's reform the whole pension system. It wasn't by chance, it is thoughtfulness. And we realized that the pension is not just through NAPSA. So NAPSA, then there were complaints from other pension schemes. Then we said, let's include NAPSA, hence the National Pension Scheme Bill 2026, and the Public Service Pension Bill 2026 to capture others who were not part of NAPSA. Not public sector. But what about central government? What about local government? Hence, the Local Authority Superannuation Bill 2026. That's a holistic approach. Okay. But these are pension schemes. Then we said, what about the regulator? They must be in tandem with the spirit, with the intentions of making the current worker have an upgrade on the contributions so we can have substance, magnitude, materiality, but also accessing that money when they're still energetic. We saw it from the 20% NAPSA. We said, no, let's extend that and make law. And also the lump sum option. You can also contribute to other schemes. But you can't do that with the pension schemes and don't do that to the regulator, the supervisor. Hence, the Pension Scheme Regulation Amendment Bill 2026, the story is complete. Contained in these bills. So we bring them together. My fellow colleagues, citizens, this is a great day. This is truly a great day. If you love the people of Zambia as we do.
Right, so those are the remarks of President Hakainde Hichilema. And he says we have to make sure that we maintain the free education policy so that if, for example, Comrade Chiwoyu becomes a president in the future, you will not ignore that this law is now law, or this aspect is now law. If Comrade Mike Sichula becomes president in the future, you shall maintain this. Let's get from there. I mean, let's begin from there. Comrade Mike Sichula.
Well, thank you very much, IP, and I'm glad that President Hakainde Hichilema has responded to his promise that he made prior to the 2021 general elections, that he was going to make free education possible. Yeah. And through him, now we now have free education up to grade 12 level. Because what we had in the past, in the past administrations, there was free education from grade 1 up to grade 7, but it was not as publicized as we are seeing it today, because government usually provides what are called grants to government institutions, government schools, even if the pupils are supposed to pay a small fee, then that will be compensated by what government is providing to these schools. So with the provision of free education, it means that government now has subsidized education for almost for all citizens that are from grade 1 up to grade 12, which is commendable, because when you look at education, people say it is an equalizer to prosperity and also for you to become and earn a better life in future. That is commendable. I believe there's the past presidents who did not extend it to grade 12 level, they had their own reasons. We cannot take away from whatever they did. Because when you look at the provision of, for instance, free education, a number of our leaders, those who sometimes some of them were calling like our grandfathers and so on, they benefited during the reign of our first president, Kaunda. During that period, because you look at the population and also what the GDP, the economy was able to generate to support free education. So they did their part within their means. So President Hakainde Hichilema also is doing his part within his means. So to extend it to grade 12, that is very good, because not everyone will be, sometimes not every family in Zambia may manage to find school fees, to find money for uniforms. So if you have taken away the payment of fees, then meaning this family is going to use that resources to probably buy a uniform, probably buy a good school shoe and a bag for their child. That is very good. But one thing that I want to mention as I wind up, it is not precisely or absolutely 100% to say any president who comes in after President Hakainde Hichilema may not scrap off free education. That is not
correct.
The correct position.
You're right.
Because let me give you an example. We had the Patriotic Front administration. They scrapped off provision of meal allowances to university students. So that is the way they scrapped off meal allowances to students at higher learning institutions, they did not scrap it off by just in cabinet. Professor Nkanduru went to parliament and parliamentarians debated and it was scrapped off. So even this one that we have present, which President Hakainde Hichilema has signed into law, I want our viewers to understand that it does not mean it can last in perpetuity. It does not. It cannot. We cannot say it has been cast in stone, such that it should not be. It cannot be erased if another administration takes over. Even the same UPND, depending on circumstances that may arise. Remember, we live in a global community. For instance, outside we had COVID. For instance. It collapsed many economies of the world. Economies were struggling. So depending on the circumstances of a particular event, and the government wants to minimize costs on a certain expenditure, the same government can go to parliament to ask. So I think for us to be able to accomplish this, we need to get some money from the Ministry of Education, get some money from the Ministry of Health, mop up this money in one bowl and use it to achieve a national event. The same UPND government, depending on circumstances that may arise, they can go to parliament to say, okay, instead of having free education up to grade 12, maybe let's reduce it maybe to grade 7, because they want to save some money. So it's not absolutely correct to say nobody, whoever comes, cannot change.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Right. That's interesting. Let's hear from Comrade Chiwoyu. Your take over the 5 bills sent into law, which includes free education.
Well, I think my comrade here, Mike, has over-elaborated the issue around the importance of free education. I mean, I'm a person who is very passionate about education because I know what quality education can do to change society and just to, I mean, even as a revolutionist, I think the first key requirement for a revolutionist is education.
Correct.
Yeah. But coming to the issue at hand, well, I just feel like, you see, sometimes we over-legislate things, okay? Right. When the president signs into law the free education, my question is, what do you want to achieve? Okay, do you need a law to provide for education? My view is that right now we've unanimously agreed that there is need for free education at every level. So what, in my view, should have been the center of that discourse is to see how do we sustain this education provision as a free service to the people, and how do we provide in mechanisms that will ensure that there is better quality of education, and also it's provided sustainably. Because remember, we had free education.
Correct.
Excuse me. Post-independence, Zambia had free education. So the lesson is, at what point did we lose it? And
I was about to ask you that question.
Okay. At what point did we lose it, and how did we lose it? So these are services that are supported by the status of the economy. Okay, the economy has to be healthy to support education. You might be interested to know that some of the stories that surround free education of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda are actually incredibly exciting stories.
Correct.
Okay. People will tell you that back in the days, university meals or meals that were provided at UNZA for students were at the level of hotel standards.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Correct.
Yeah. But over time, these meals started deteriorating. Why? Because the economy was unable to support that service. So what we need, for me, what I would have loved to, and this is my complaint, or rather my regret about the way we are making laws in this country, especially under the UPND regime, there seem not to be consensus. So instead of us, the president, having gone to State House in the glare of publicity, grandstanding to sign the law, maybe we should have allowed for deeper discourse around what we want to do with with free education. How do we want to implement it? How do we want to support it? Because remember, education as it is right now, it's still very restrictive to government institutions. So should we extend it to private universities? Should we extend it to private schools? So
it's an interesting angle.
So for me, instead of I know it's political season, and so obviously the president wanted to draw mileage by signing into law the free education policy. But when I look at it in a bigger picture, and I think when this period is over, when we all return to sanity after the elections, I think we need to have a deeper discourse around the quality of education.
We're going to find that there are a lot of gaps somewhere.
Exactly. Exactly. So instead of, we are not trying to take away anything from the fact that
it's a good move.
It's a good move.
It's a very good move.
Yeah, but
I was about actually to get your further thoughts, and Mike, to say, if most of our parents, most of our grandparents, including President Akende Chema today, who is our president, they benefited from the free education under the Kaunda.
Yes.
At what point did our leaders, think of scrapping off that aspect? That's number one. There could be some dynamics here and there. I know some arguments. People tell you that at that point, Zambia, was unable to sustain that because the economy kept on shrinking here and there. Also privatization came in the 1991. All those could be maybe some excuses. But when you look at the salary of a politician, of a minister, I can dare you that from the 1960 of the Kaunda time to date, politicians, their salaries keeps on increasing, and the allowances. But we found it fit as a nation to scrap off the free education, to disadvantage a human being, a voter in Kanchivia, a voter in Kalingalinga, a voter in Kasama, and yet politicians, they keep on pocketing heavy, a hateful amount of money. And for me, if you ask me, in all honesty, I think I want to agree with you, Chiwoyu and Mike, when you say this is the best thing which HH has done, introducing the free education back again. Because look, we can't have politicians stealing money in our country, pocketing money in our country. when they leave office, we go and check in their homes, you find the bags of money in their homes, and yet our children are not benefiting. And for me, it's a good move that the UPND decided to bring or to implement the free education. Your advocacy, Comrade Chiwoyo, I remember writing some stories, I think about some 10 years ago, advocating that we should have free education across board, including the private sector students. Students from the private institutions, they should also benefit from the free education because they are also, you know, part of the government. We have the money as a country. So when you begin to see that the government decided to bring free education, I think I agree with you. This is a good move, but we need quality education. That's number one. Number two, again, we should extend it further to tertiary level. That is my view. You can proceed from there, comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, so you see, I'll give an example. For instance, the school feeding program. According to information that was made available to the public by the Ministry of Education, they spend about the school feeding program itself to run 3 terms per year. They require about 500 million kwacha. 500 million
That's
kwacha.
per term?
Per year.
Per year, okay.
Per year. So when you look at that amount, it's quite colossal. So in terms of how to sustain it, like Comrade Chiwoyo is saying, that is where now think tanks within the Ministry of Education, even at the at UNZA, need to come in. How do we sustain it beyond this 500 million kwacha that the government is providing? Because the more students are coming in, so meaning if a particular school was given 10 bags of mini meal or sample, but if the number keep increasing, it means the school will need probably more than 10 bags of mini meal to sustain the school feeding program. So something that needs to be done is what the Patriotic Front administration had started to implement when there was Permanent Secretary for Education, Mr. Jobsi Karumba, who said schools need to have, we need to revive the productive units of these schools. One good example that I can point to is Shubika Bronga Girls or St. Mary's, where they had a very powerful productive unit in terms of agriculture. So those programs, they don't need to be sponsored by the school themselves. They need a hand from government so that they should be supplementing what the school feeding program is giving. Because presently, as we speak, in some schools, children are being fed yellow maize in terms of boiled maize. You know, this is something that when you ask a number of people, they'll say, no, so in order for us as a nation to sustain this program, we need to go a step further. And when people begin to introspect and punch holes into what is happening, people out there should understand to say, at the end of the day, we need something that is of quality, and we need something that can be sustained. Because we don't want to have a situation where if a donor who is contributing to this school feeding program, because our viewers need to know that it is not entirely the problem of the Zambian government in terms of funding. There are some donors who are funding. But if they begin to see some stories that we heard, in some, like I'm talking about, where in some schools children are being fed boiled maize, but if it is not what they are supposed to be given, the donors are going to begin to question, to say, but how come we are putting in so much money, but the learners are not getting what they are supposed to be fed?
If anything, it's bad manners. Look, we should not be fed by the donors. No.
Yes,
for me, I don't support that, rationale. So I wanted to use the word, nonsense, but I will not use it. But I don't believe in that rationale. We can't be 61 years, comrade, and we're still depending on the donors to feed the country like Zambia.
So this is why this is a point you touched on it further at some point where we said what happened when Kaunda was providing nice hotel meals to university students.
Exactly.
You know what happened? Yeah. There was population growth, and the economy was not able to sustain in terms of providing these nice meals to the learners.
Correct.
So what do you do as a cabinet? I think let's scrap it off. You scrap it off, you begin to give students those small allowances. Yeah. So in order for us to sustain this project, one thing that you touched on is that the next cabinet, let them sit down and say, instead of giving you 3 vehicles to 1 minister with the family and so on and so forth, instead of giving you instead of the Zambian people giving you free fuel, at some point we need to cut.
Correct.
We need to cut some of these incentives, expenditures to government officials, and this should not only be centered on the politicians. This should be extended to parastatals, because in some parastatals they are getting more money than even a minister.
There are some positions we have in this country, Comrade Chiwoyo, people are called directors, so and so, but if you counter check what they're doing, it's really nothing. But we'll not get into that. Let me throw in another question based on the 2 videos we have played, on the remarks which President Hakainde Hichilema actually issued at State House. He said, look, when you look at the works we have done in the last 5 years, the free education, among other things you can talk about, the debt restructuring. You know, this country was almost on its knees. So we came in, we spent 3 years trying to restructure the debt, which some of our colleagues failed. And I watch and listen, you know, I hear some people saying they want to come back. They want to come back to do what? Let's comment on that. Well, who are those people? And they want to come back to come and do what?
Unfortunately, it's not up to the president to decide who comes back and who doesn't, okay? That's up to the Zambian people. Okay? Right. The president has been in government the last 4.5 years. And for me, if he thinks or if he is very sure that he's done very well to deserve re-election, that is again up to him to say to the Zambian people. So if the Zambian people made a decision to bring back those people he doesn't want, again, it's not up to him. Because you see, one thing you need to realize is, or what the president needs to realize is that, you know, the approach to having a controlled democracy doesn't work in every society. Right. Okay? So you cannot have a democracy where you have to dictate who comes in or who is elected. I don't think that is up to the president, because now, if the president really wants to decide who should be his successor or who should not succeed him, then we are taken away from the very democracy that we espouse to promote. So I know it doesn't, I mean, there is no doubt the president doesn't like the PF, okay, and he doesn't like anyone who is associated with the PF. You have seen what has happened in the last 4.5 years. Let me just say the last 4 years, there has been a very defined and a well-calculated move to decimate the PF. There's been a very, very sustained fight to remove the PF from the face of the Zambian politics. And so when I hear the president mentioning or talking about who should come back or who shouldn't, and then I look at the state in which the PF, which was supposed to be the biggest opposition political party in Zambia, is at the moment, then I see a lot of coloration. Okay, so when we have a scenario right now, even the people you're talking about, Mundubile, Makebi, Zulu, and are trying to regroup, okay, away from the PF. This is the party which was theirs, okay, but now the PF doesn't exist, okay, and as a result, these guys have had to look for alternative political vehicles to run in the August election. So I don't think that it is very correct for the president to decide who should succeed him and who shouldn't. I think let him focus on marketing and selling the UPND. Who succeeds him, leave it to the Zambian people.
Right. The coming back is not, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
It shouldn't be the issue.
I mean, look, if we were in a position where the president should dictate who should succeed, the UPND was not going to be in power.
Right.
Okay, if I mean, may his soul continue to rest in peace. It's unfortunate we haven't buried him. But if it was up to Edgar Lungu to decide who was going to succeed him, I don't think
that picked on the UPND.
No, he was not going to pick on the UPND.
Right.
So I think I'm not a fan of controlled democracy.
Yeah.
Let the will still remain with the Zambian people. So I think I would appreciate so much that the president could leave the essence of democracy to remain with the Zambian people. I don't think it's up to him to decide who comes to power or who doesn't. It's not. I don't think that's correct.
Interesting. Let's hear from Comrade, the speech analyst.
So we are just from talking about the provision of free education, which is very good.
Yeah.
But do you know that there are still some parents?
First of all, let's agree, all of us. Have we agreed that all of us here, we support free education?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So proceed
Yes.
now to another.
Yes. You know why? Actually, before even the president signed that into law, when you go to our constitution, what are the basic human rights? I should be given education.
Right.
So if I'm a parent and I don't take my child to school, I should be punished.
Right.
Even if there's no provision of free education, because within the constitution itself, it says when you have a child IP, that child should be taken to school.
Right. Interesting. We have agreed there.
We have agreed there. So
Let's-
now, let's look at this issue in small bits and bits. The provision of free education, very good. So if President Hakainde Hichilema is going to ask to say, these people who want to come back, what do they want to come back to do? Here's one of the things that they can come and do. Today, learners are not provided with school uniforms. Not every parent can afford a school uniform, with a school shoe. We had the issue of sanitary pads, which are being given to our school girls going to school. Not every parent can afford. That's why the government had to chip in, because there was a research that was conducted, and they discovered that, say, when a child is having their menses, some of them are not coming to school. So what do? The government came in with the support of donors. So if the president...
And we have donors donating sanitary towels for our girls in Zambia and in Africa.
So now,
if
within the treasury money can be sourced to say there are some learners who are unable to buy school uniform, this is what some opposition political parties can do if they came back. Because we doubted Mr. Hakainde Hichilema to say he was going to provide free education.
Right.
He came in. So if someone comes in, they may even do better or more than what President Hakainde Hichilema is doing.
Right.
Another example.
A disclaimer, viewers, he's using the word they may, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So another example I do give, there are some schools within Lusaka province here, which are a learner, if they are going, they take about 1 hour walking, or 1 hour walking, 1 hour coming. So in some cases, schools can say, I think let's look at the provision of free transport to our learners,
right?
So that they should be coming. Those who are coming from very far places,
they should be ferried.
Let them be given free transport to come to school. Then the president also spoke about what are they coming to do. One thing that other opposition leaders can come to do is that when President Hakainde Hichilema was a student at the University of Zambia, the government was sponsoring him. So he has not extended provision of free education to tertiary education. That can be taken up by other leaders to come and do. So the aspect of saying, what are you coming to do? There are actually a lot of things that other leaders who may come up can do. Another example that I would give, today in Zambia, we are boasting of manufacturing fertilizer. But when you go on the market, the price of fertilizer is above 1,000 kwacha. What can other governments do if they came into office? They can probably subsidize the provision of fertilizer.
Right.
Because today we're talking about 5 million metric tons of maize against the high cost of fertilizer. Now, what more if the price of fertilizer was to go down?
Right.
What numbers would you be talking about? Probably 7 million metric tons or going up to 10 million metric tons.
Right.
So there are a lot of things that opposition political party leaders can come to do.
Right.
So, like Chiwoyo has said, that should be left to the Zambians
To decide.
to decide.
A lot of works ahead of, to the next administration after the 13th of August 2026, whether it will be the UPND, whether it will be the opposition, all these questions and these issues, I think they must be attended to. Let's go to story number 2 and now try to have a reflection on the 1-year anniversary of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who died on the 5th of June 2025. And last week on Friday, he clocked 1 year since his death. But remember, his mortal remains unburied. Let's have some clips.
When my dear husband, a sorrow that words can hardly fully express. The pain of losing ECL, as many of you fondly called him, remains deep, and what is even heavier is the reality that ECL is still lying on the surface of the earth, causing such a unique grief as we wait to give him a dignified burial. This leaves the heart suspended between mourning. It is so amazing to witness that 12 months later, people are still speaking about ECL with such love and admiration. They speak of his kindness, his wisdom, his strength, and the humility he carried into every room.
To God, and for his shortcomings, we entrust him to the merciful love of God. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, as we remember the life of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, let us not overlook the lessons he left behind, namely, leadership as service, true authority as in humility, and true leaders lift up others, and the power belongs to the people.
Thank you so much. Quite somber, moment that we're having again. Comrade Chiwoyu, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, a man who served the country for 7 years as president. He served the country as justice minister. He served the country as defense minister. He also served the country as home affairs minister. And the man died in 2025, but the body has not been buried. What's going on? Your reflection?
Look, this is a bizarre situation we find ourselves in the country, and very embarrassing and also very painful, because I was just having a chat with colleagues from one of the European countries last week. So they asked me a question, okay, to say, what is the reason that Edgar Lungu's remains have not been buried?
What was your answer now?
I said, there's no reason. Okay? There is absolutely no reason why someone's remains should be kept in a refrigerated environment and not be returned to the soil where it belongs. Because when society, unfortunately, comrades, when society collapses sometimes, the moral fiber of society collapses. Sometimes you don't see it, okay? You tend to see it through the results. If you are going to have a former president who saved this country in various portfolios, he dies. He was a human being. 1 year later, you cannot put him to rest. You cannot put his remains to rest. Then that society requires serious reflection. There's something wrong with that society. There's absolutely something wrong with Zambian society right now. I don't know if it's the politics, I don't know if it's the religion, I don't know if it's the culture, but there's something wrong. And the problems that we have, or the dysfunction that we have right now in our society, is reflected in situations like we find ourselves in, where the former president remains unburied a year after his death. Okay, so this for me is look, when you look at it from a cultural perspective, okay, in Zambian cycle, a funeral is not complete, or a funeral is not over until you bury, okay, until you bury.
Very
so
true.
in my view, ultimately there is only one person right now who can facilitate the burial of Edgar Lungu, and that is the chief mourner himself, who is President Hakainde Hichilema. It's up to him. Okay? Look, if the family so wishes to bury him wherever they want, I think he should allow that to happen. He should allow that to happen, because for how long are you going to keep someone's body? I mean, we can't continue displaying Edgar Lungu's body in the fridges. To whose benefit? Who is benefiting? It's unbelievable.
And dramatic that for 1 year we are failing to bury someone.
Someone, and we see nothing wrong with that.
You know, we kept on counting. 2 months, 3 months, 5 months.
It was actually days.
Exactly.
And then it weeks in 2 months. Now we are in 2 years. Because the next time you'll be discussing Edgar Lungu's funeral, another 365 days from now, it will be 2 years of somebody remaining unburied. So I don't know why we should treat a person who was president in such a very undignified manner that after his death. Because remember, even, I'm sorry to say this, but even the unclaimed bodies in UTH, they cancel.
You can say that.
Yeah, they cancel.
Remember those stories.
They chip in, okay?
Yes.
They chip in. If you remain unburied after some time, they cancel. The local authority comes in.
They'll run a notice first of all. You know, we've got some unclaimed bodies at UTH or any other hospital, so they'll give it 14 days. Someone claimed for this.
Yeah,
body.
it's there in the law. It's in the council law. So when
you don't do that, then the council, the churches will move into bury.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah. So if I mean, let's face it, life is life. Okay. So if somebody, I mean, we're not trying to take away anything, unfortunately, from the people that are buried in such circumstances as unclaimed body. It's unfortunate. But if the society can attempt, okay, to take care of an unclaimed body, okay, and put that body to rest, because ultimately you know that the sanctity of death, okay, is embedded in the ability by society to put that body or that soul to rest. Okay, so it's on that premise that we are able to go and look out for unclaimed bodies and put them to rest. So why are we going to hold on? Why are we going to hold someone to ransom who has been dead for the last 1 year? Who is benefiting from this mess? For me, this is what baffles me. And it's just not embarrassing, but it's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate, and it's very telling, because let's face it, all of us who are in here, at some point we will have to pave way. We will have to leave this.
Yeah, we have to.
So, IP, when you be asked 20, 30 years from today to say, summary, how did this happen? How did you go a year without burying the
History
president?
has it. Tell us. You were there.
You were there. How did this happen? What is so difficult?
Wow.
So it's not even a good topic to review or to discuss, if you ask me, as a Zambian right now. It's very, very frustrating. It's very painful. It's very unfortunate, because, look, it takes away a lot from what we have believed and valued as human beings. The principle of Ubuntu, where is it if
it has
we...
vanished from us.
I mean, it's...
I am because you are.
Yeah.
You are because I am. It's gone.
It's gone. So we are here discussing someone who died a year ago and they remain unburied for reasons that no one can convincingly discuss. And you see, when you look at the impasse around the funeral of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, it's also become symptomatic of a lot of problems that exist in our society. So are you telling me that this country has reached a point where it doesn't even have like wise men or elders who can pacify the warring factions? Because remember, at the end of the day, if someone in State House, President Hichilema, insisted on something and the family insisted on another thing, who was going to help create this middle ground? Okay, this ability for the two warring parties who are fighting over a body to come together and say, look, for the sake of someone's soul to rest in peace, for the sake of us being Ubuntu, for the sake of our culture, for the sake of Christianity, let's put this man to rest and move on. How do we sleep peacefully? In the next few minutes after this program, we will retire to our homes, sleep peacefully, wake up tomorrow morning and move on as if nothing has ever happened. And yet, you've got a body detained in a mortuary somewhere else, somewhere in South Africa, and life has gone on seamlessly.
It's a sad affair. Before I move away from you, Comrade Chiwoyo, your last comment on this matter would be about the church. I think we read a statement coming from the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, which decided to instruct its members, its structures, not to take part in the one-year anniversary prayers of the late Edgar Chagwa Lungu. From the news perspective, from the analysis perspective, what does it mean where the church or church members or leaders, congregants, prayer warriors are saying, do not go and pray? Christians, for that matter. And yet the Bible says that pray without ceasing. What happens now maybe to a pagan on the street, to a person who doesn't believe in prayers? If prayer warriors can be running away or stopping each other from praying, do you do that as well? If you don't want to pray at home, you tell your children, don't go to church, don't pray.
Well, I talked about structural deficiencies that society has, and sometimes they manifest in some of these acts when happen. Okay, there was a time that the church collectively in Zambia was seen to be the salt of the earth. I think you remember. I'll just try to give an example of some backgrounds to it. When you look at our return to multi-party politics in 1991, you realize that the church played a very, very pivotal role, very central role. Okay, Dr. Kaunda had to give up, is it 3 or 2 years of his term?
Yes, 3 years.
3 years,
yes,
in order to allow for democracy to return and for the elections to take part. At the center of that decision was the church. 10 years later, we had a problem, or we had a situation where the president of this country, may so rest in peace, Frederick Chilo, touted the idea of running for a 3rd term after exhausting his 2 terms in office. It was a very difficult situation. It was a moment that divided the country because it polarized the country. For the first time, we had a situation where almost 80% of the cabinet rose against the sitting president.
Yeah. Very true.
It was a difficult
Others
moment.
resigned.
Others resigned.
Yes.
There was the Oasis Forum. At the center of the Oasis Forum was the church, and the church played a very pivotal role in shaping the decision of President Chiluba not to go for the 3rd term. Before that, after that, you were talking about the issue of debt. Okay, correct. We had a point. This country had a problem with debt. The HIPIC, completion point. For Zambia to achieve HIPIC completion point, again the church was very pivotal. Okay, the Catholic Church, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, they joined hands with the government and they went to lobby the donors to say, look, this country needs to be given.
That's how far the church can.
That's how far the church has come, and the church has taken a very principled position. Okay, so now for me, what I'm trying to relate to is the fact that if we are the church as the salt of the earth, a very principled, a very, very grounded church, even this issue we are having of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu not being buried would resolved. Okay, we did not need to go to court. How do you go to court over burying someone? How do you go to look? I have a situation where people have gone to court over maybe someone's will, or if the person died intestate, people have gone to court, but not go to court over someone's body. And so
bury here?
Exactly.
This one?
Yeah. So when you look at the church, I mean, and these are some of the things that for me, the men and women in color who are running our churches need to reflect on. Instead of, for me, the evangelical, and trust me, when I first saw that statement, what came to my mind was, I think it's one of these fake AI generated statements. I didn't believe that statement was until I had to run it through the mills and asked one or two colleagues who confirmed that actually it came from the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia. So really, when I have to ask myself a question. So by that statement, what was the EFZ trying to achieve? What was the ultimate?
What was running through the minds of the leadership?
Yeah. And was it a decision of one person, or did they sit and collectively decided that they were going to issue that statement? And where are they in this impasse? Okay? Because look, we are at a stage in our country's life where people that ordinarily are supposed to take a very strong neutral stance and pacify or warring factions are unfortunately taking sides.
Very true.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so when the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia decided to issue that statement, are they siding with the family? Are they siding with the state? Or are they siding with the people? And ultimately the question they have to ask themselves, which we cannot answer unfortunately, is what are they trying to achieve with that statement? So it is unfortunate, and my appeal, especially to the church right now, is that collectively they need to reflect. Okay, if the president has insisted that he wants his predecessor to be buried in a way that he wants, that's fair enough. That is his position. We may agree with him, or we may not agree with him, but that is fair. I mean, that's fairly his position. But then the fundamental question we have to ask is that institutions that have been the moral compass of this country, where are they in this confusion? And if they are there, what position are they taking? What situation are they envisaging to see? Okay, what Zambia do they want most importantly? So this is now about the Catholic Church itself. Okay, let the bishop sit and say, look, a year into someone's death, he remains unburied. The CCZ have to ask themselves the same question. To say, 1 year we have not buried this man. What Zambia are we trying to create for ourselves and our future? The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia equally have to ask the same. And you know what is also troubling about this impasse? Because I know for a fact that the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, may his soul continue to rest in peace, was very close to the Evangelical Fellowship.
Yes, he was.
And this is well documented.
Yes, he was.
Okay, he was close to them, both as a president and post-presidency. So for them to take this very this very unholy stance.
A seemingly compromised stance.
Well, I wouldn't even want to say compromise, but it's just so unholy. Because how do you abandon people who are mourning when you are at the church? Because you know that, as a matter of fact, most of us, each time we are grieved or we've got a problem, we look up to the church.
God.
We look up to God, and
we look up to God and
prayers. And the church have been the representation of God, because obviously we know that we cannot run to heavens when we are on earth. We go to the church. So if the church is going to take this position and say, no, don't come here, you chase away people who are aggrieved, it's a very, very unfortunate situation.
It is, comrade, and for me, I think the biggest worry is a situation where the church can go to the extent of instructing the members not to join the prayers. That for me is a problem. Because, look, I'll tell you one thing, and I'll give an example of myself. I don't dictate what my family they should do at home in terms of prayers. If you want to go and worship from Jehovah's Witness, for example, I'll let you go. If you want to go to the Pentecostal Assemblies of God, where myself I belong to, I will let you do that. If you want to go to RCZ or
The
Muslims, I will allow you to do that. But the moment you as a leader you begin to put conditions on matters of religion, then you become a problem. Because I don't worship you, I worship God. Yeah. So if I want, let me go and worship. If I don't want, I will not go there. So matters of religion are very sensitive and very difficult, where leaders, they have to be extra careful. But maybe they wanted to remain neutral. Maybe in their thoughts, they were like, if we join the prayers, maybe the government, I'm saying, in a case, maybe they are compromised. And underline the word, in a case they are compromised. They were thinking that if we're going to pray, maybe the government might think that we're siding with this person. Now, I'll end by pointing the ways of...
let me just
yes,
say something.
Please.
It's very difficult, and it's when the church becomes neutral, because the church is not supposed to be neutral.
I was getting there.
The church is not supposed to be neutral.
I hear you.
Okay? The principle of Christianity is very simple. It's either you are for God or you are for the enemy. So the church cannot take, unfortunately, a neutral stance. The church is strongly guided by the Bible as the values.
Fantastic.
So the Bible is very instructive on how you react to certain situations. The Bible doesn't provide for neutrality.
I hear you.
So if the church wants to take a neutral stance, then it becomes an endorsement of the other side.
Get you. Wow. It reminds me the words of the late Desmond Tutu, Bishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa, who said, you cannot be neutral in the midst of injustice.
Correct.
The moment as a church you maintain or you want to pretend to be neutral, it means you've already sided with the oppressor.
Correct.
I was like, these are the words of Desmond Tutu.
That's what it means.
Like, what is this man talking about? As a church, you have to speak out at every point when the country is undergoing difficulties. That's what Desmond Tutu used to say.
Yeah, because silence means endorsement.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Silence means endorsement. You see injustice and then you decide to be neutral. How are you even neutral?
Wow.
Because then if you are being neutral in the face of injustice, then you are endorsing that injustice.
Wow.
So I don't think that the church would really want to be, and unfortunately we have that situation right now in Zambia where the church appears to want to be neutral, even in very difficult situations.
I'll come back to you. Yeah. Let's hear from Comrade Speech Analyst.
Something that caught my attention as well, when President Hakainde Hichilema, when he was assenting to those 5 bills, he spoke about having the country having lost 10 years. Now, which presidents were governing this nation in 10 years? This is late President Michael Sata and late President Edgar Lungu. So you are basically, even in their death, you are still following them to say you did not do anything for this country. I think when the president spoke like that at a public gathering, he did not do justice to people who have died, and they contributed to the development of this country. Because you cannot say we lost 10 years. Our colleagues did not do anything. Now, let me point something that probably the president did not speak to. I know late President Michael Sata and late President Edgar Lungu contributed to Zambia to have a ballooning debt. But what did President Edgar Lungu start doing with the likes of Felix Nkurukosa, who was he permanent secretary?
Yes.
He was actually the secretary to Treasury.
Yes.
Correct.
The same Mr. Felix Nkurukosa is still being used by the UPND administration. So now, let's look at this issue, because the debt has been lumped on the PF to say they didn't know what they were doing. What the PF knew that this debt that we have accrued needs to be managed. And they had started the debt restructuring process. They engaged, is it a French company, that's Razad?
Lazard, yes.
Yeah.
The same Razad company that was engaged by the UPN, the PF, is the same, that is the same company that was
Same consultant.
same consultant that the UPND used to reach this conclusion of debt restructuring within 3 years. Now, does it mean that when the PF started this project, they started this project and were going towards the elections, right? So does it mean that if the PF had won, they were going to abandon this project? We don't know. We don't know. So you cannot say they borrowed money and they didn't do anything to it because they had engaged a consultant, and before they could conclude with this consultant, the UPND came into office. And fortunately enough, the UPND again continued with this consultant until the debt was restructured within 3 years of the administration. So it is not correct to begin to say our friends borrowed money. They didn't do anything in the last 10 years. It is actually, you are mocking people who are dead, people who cannot defend themselves.
Right.
Because today, President Hakainde Hichilema is a beneficiary of the 50% plus one in terms of winning the general election.
Yeah.
Who assented to this constitution? It was President Edgar Lungu. So those are some of the benefits that President Edgar Lungu and Michael Sata did in the last 10 years.
All right.
We cannot talk about infrastructure development. I'll cite an example, for instance, of the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, as well as the Hari Mwangankumbula International Airport in Livingstone, and the Samuel Mwansakapwepwe Airport on the Copper Belt. Borrowed money applied in a proper way, and these international airports have become they are being recognized internationally.
Right.
Today, let's ask the UPND, in the last 5 years, which airport have they modernized? Have they modernized Chipata Airport in the last 5 years? The answer is no. So sometimes President Hakainde Hichilema needs to understand that you don't need to invoke emotions of people by mocking the dead. To me, I call that mocking the dead, because you cannot say in the last 10 years, where there was Michael Sata, Edgar Lungu, this country lost out. That is not fair, because these two leaders who were in charge in the last 10 years are not there to defend themselves.
Right.
Then lastly, the issue of Edgar Lungu, I brought out that issue because it is important in terms of how we look at Edgar Lungu. The issue of Edgar Lungu has divided this nation. The nation is divided. I remember I put up a post on my page to say we have failed, we have lost 1 year as a nation. But when you look at the comments that were coming, you can clearly see that people have lost that emotional touch to death and the family that is involved in this matter. My brother here has spoken about President Edgar Lungu being the one who can say, let this funeral take off or not.
HH.
Yes, HH. Let this funeral take on or not. I'll conclude by saying, you are a parent, you have put up a curfew in your house to say, anyone who comes at 18 hours or 19 hours should not be let inside until I say that person comes in. This is the similar issue that we have. President Hakainde Hichilema, if today he said, okay, I think Mr. Muliro Kabesha, if there's a way within the legal system to drop off that case, and let's see how the Lungu family can humble themselves, and I also humble myself to see if this issue can be resolved outside court.
Right.
The same way, like I said, if you have put up a curfew and your child comes after 19 hours, it is you to say, let that child be allowed in. But if I don't want that child to be allowed in, the mother will be inside, but the mother will be inside with me, but she'll be like, but what if my child outside? What if something bad happens to him? So this is how we look at this issue. As a nation, we need to be united. We are already divided, and worse off, the church has acted in a manner that I didn't expect.
All right, so let's move on, gentlemen, and the viewers out there, in case you've joined us. We are into the third story now. We just from concluding the second story, now we get into our third story. Now the third story, we are looking at Another very, sad story of the fracas which happened in CHAWAMA constituents during the memorial service of the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, where some suspected UPND cadres and those suspected TONSE alliance members, cadres clashed. A very chaotic, event which happened in CHAWAMA. Do we still have political violence in Zambia? What is going on? What is the problem? We are counting down to the general election. What will happen on the final day of voting if we can begin to see these ugly and disturbing pictures of political violence in CHAWAMA? Comrade Chiwoyo, I will start with you. Where are we? We've been singing about the political violence in Zambia, but cadres fighting each other. Again, this story is back. And this time around now, the story comes out with different angles. You ask the TONSE Alliance, they'll tell you we were attacked by UPND cadres. We ask the UPND again, they'll tell you no, it was the TONSE. The same misbehavior, the same lawlessness, the same misconduct, the same stories we've been writing before. What is the issue? What's the problem here?
Well, to start with, CHAWAMA itself is a flashpoint, okay? CHAWAMA has got a well-decorated history of violent incidences.
Yeah.
Okay?
Very true.
So this violence that we've witnessed in CHAWAMA is a political violence that we've witnessed.
Maybe sorry, Chiwoyo, please forgive me and the viewers. Let's have a clip before you proceed. Let's just have some highlights and also the information coming from the Zambia police.
5 male suspects in connection with an incident of political violence that occurred in John Howard compound, CHAWAMA, on June 5, 2026. Following the incident, cases of aggravated robbery, malicious damage to property, assault, and unlawful wounding have been recorded. The incident occurred around 13 hours following a physical confrontation between groups of supporters of the United Party for National Development, UPND, and the TONSE PAMODZI Alliance. CHAWAMA Police Station received a report of the incident around 13:10 hours. Police officers were immediately deployed to the scene, where they restored order and commenced investigations. Preliminary investigations indicate that a group of individuals associated with TONSE PAMODZI Alliance attacked and ransacked the UPND Ward 3 office in John Howard compound. During the incident, property was damaged and several items were reported stolen. Gabriel Mwale, aged 45, of John Howard compound, reported that a laptop belonging to the UPND Ward 3 office was stolen. The value of the laptop has not yet been determined. Godfrey Chitalo, aged 51, of Jack compound, reported that 5 office tables, chairs, and other office equipment were damaged, with damage estimated at 30,000 kwacha. Last on Lu.
Yeah, so I was saying that CHAWAMA has been a flashpoint, okay? But then what's this latest incident of the violence that we've witnessed in CHAWAMA exposes something that we have not dealt with or we failed to confront fundamentally as a country, especially under the UPND regime.
Yeah.
President Hichilema has consistently been advocating or announcing or declaring that the removal of the PF in 2021 and the coming into power of the UPND ended political violence in Zambia. Some of us have held the fact that that is not true. Because remember, these political actors are the same, okay?
Right.
Yes, there was documented incidences of violence within the PF, but also the UPND, okay? This is the same UPND that popularized the famous Mapatiza formula, okay? So the question is that what was the Mapatiza formula about, okay? That's the question that have to be answered. Right. The Mapatiza formula was essentially a scheme to use highly concentrated violence against opponents and to some extent also against law enforcement agencies as the police in order to gain the political victory that the UPND wanted. Again, you had the incident in Mufumbwe, okay?
Yeah.
the Mufumbe by-election, if you read about the Mufumbe by, it was a
I know that story
violent
very
incident.
well.
And unfortunately, in one of the strongholds for the UPND, is it Solwezi? We lost a human being on the election date. Okay, the 2021 general election, we are not without incidents. Okay, we lost the chairman, or was it the PF chairman?
Northwestern chairman.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to arrive at is the fact that these violent incidences that we have had in political parties, unfortunately, have been shielded. Okay, there's been this camouflage to give an impression that this violence doesn't exist. And when you look at the incidents, especially in CHAWAMA, I've always held this belief. We've got one of the most professional police services. But the problem we have had with the police service in this country has been political interference. Okay, if the police today was going to be allowed to dispense their duties diligently and without political interference, the police have the capacity to quell any violent incidents. Okay, look what has happened in CHAWAMA, and it's unfortunate because if I saw in the UPND, one of the UPND WhatsApp groups, the party supporters, and I think also on Facebook, started demanding for the removal of the police command in CHAWAMA, saying that not that they didn't do their job well, but they believe that the police sided with the TONSE alliance. And lo and behold, what do you see? It's the removal of the police top brass from CHAWAMA. There have been those reshuffles. I was just reading a statement from the police before this afternoon when before we came.
That is confirmed?
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Wow.
The police confirmed that there have been reshuffles in CHAWAMA.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Of course,
it's more like validating the
claims,
the demands
from
the
the
UPND
UPND
cadres.
so.
It takes me, Chiwoyi, just on your thoughts, don't lose your thoughts. It also takes me the same, incident which happened in 2018 in Sesheke. I was in Sesheke covering that angry political violence, where the police were beaten by some by some PF cadres, and later on some PF cadres, in the same fashion, they went on Facebook demanding for the removal of some
police officials.
Police officials in the Sesheke.
One victim.
And for sure, Shapa Wakunguma
was a victim of that.
The gentleman now who is the President Akandeshema's ADC. He was fired under the PF. Are you telling me that has been confirmed?
It's been confirmed, it's there. I mean, we might need to just
flash it on the screen.
Flash it on the screen and share it with our viewers.
My goodness.
Yeah. So that incident. Now you are talking about Sesheke, and good part is that some of the police officers who were victimized, like Shapa, are very senior police officers.
Very true. Very experienced men.
Very experienced men.
Shapa was actually promoted under the Rupiah band at the time.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So now, if a political party is going to demand for the removal of certain police officers because they felt that in their dispensing of the duties, the police didn't side with them, and then the police highest command responds, endorses what the cadres
are demanding on the ground.
So what message are you sending to our men and women in uniform? How are they going to dispense their duties professionally?
Already you are interfering in their duties.
You have. And you see, the bad part about this level of interference is that it's not just confined to the officers in CHAWAMA. So a message now has been sent across the country that what happened in CHAWAMA, it can happen to you. So, and in that way, you deflect the ability of the police to be professional. So it's very, very unfortunate.
Wow.
And we are about 77 days before the election. So for as long as we are on this path of removing professionalism from the police service, the incidents that you saw in CHAWAMA, expect more of such incidents, unfortunately, to happen in other parts of the country as we go towards the August 13 election.
What a season. Comrade Mike Sichula, I'll give you 2 minutes as well. We'll quickly close
I think
now.
this is very unfortunate that we are seeing pockets of violence in CHAWAMA. And when I read the statement by my good friend Godfrey Chilabi, when he spoke about 5 cadres of the TONSE alliance being arrested. Now, I looked at that statement. In the same statement, he says the crashes was a confrontation between the 2 warring factions, right? But how is it that the police only managed to capture TONSE alliance members. That again creates a very bad perception to a person like me who is analyzing, to say, so where they were having, so those 5 who were picked, who were they fighting with?
Okay.
So how easy was it to pick them? Because if they were fighting with someone,
yes,
then you can easily capture even the other camp, from the other camp, to say, okay, we arrested 5 from the TONSE, then we also arrested 3 or
suspects
2
from the other camp,
the UPND. So that statement in itself doesn't put the police in a good picture in terms of policing pockets of violence. Now, with the statement that has come to say the officer in charge at CHAWAMA has been removed, it is sending a very wrong signal, because the UPND cadres spoke about it, and within less than 24 hours, action has been taken. This is not good in an election time, because you need a police that is going to discharge their functions without fear or favor. Now, let me come to the issue that has been widely spoken, and now people have gotten fed up with a statement which is attributed to President Hakainde Hichilema, who says we have ended Gadarism, and anyone who commits a crime is on their own. Now, why is it that the police seem not to be swift to act against pockets of violence? Does it mean that the police are thinking otherwise, to say, if we acted, what used to happen? You've cited an example of the Sesheke. So sometimes police are thinking otherwise. Say, we cannot trust politicians. Politicians will go on a public forum and say something, but if we act and they think the way we have acted is not portraying a good image of them as a political party, in the background they call the shots to say, why did you do this? Police IG, can you remove that one? So this is why, even in some instances where you can clearly see that police should act, you are seeing police are not acting. Let me give you another classic example which happened recently. The issue of Garry in Mazabuka. It was on this platform. We said, how is it that police officers, we could see police officers not pulling or restraining those cadres from attacking the former area member of parliament. Then we later came to understand, to say, someone actually who was pushing is a very big senior person at State House. A statement or a narrative that has not been disputed by State House itself. So those are the issues why police will not act when you are expecting them to act, because police also, they are human beings, they have got families to feed, they don't want to be moved from Lusaka and transferred to a remote district because of failing to do their job diligently. Chiwoyo has stated here, and I am also, I've said on this platform, to say, the police that we have in this country, we have very senior police officers who are very professional and they can do their job effectively. But the problem comes in with politicians. Politicians on a platform, they are going to say, you are on your own. But if they find that it is someone who is their baby, it is someone who is their foot choser, has committed a crime, behind the scenes, police officers usually are given instructions, invisible instructions, to say, why did you arrest that one? Why did you not arrest those? So this is why police officers, at the end of the day, they are becoming to be victims of the situation.
All right, now, gentlemen, Comrade Chiwoyo and Mike Sichula, but also the viewers, I want you to pay attention to this statement coming from the Zambia police. Remember, Comrade Chiwoyo, I asked you a question whether or not the police officer in charge, CHAWAMA, has been transferred or not. Remember that question?
Yes.
Repeated, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So now listen to this statement. Statement on the, is this a correct statement? Hold on. Just pay attention, please. Pardon me. Okay. No. Hold on, dear viewers. Let me just get the correct statement on this particular story so that we have the facts on our hands. Yeah, this is quite important. Okay, so I have it now. So it says, false and misleading reports on police personnel transfers and alleged statements attributed to the Inspector General of Police. This was issued on the 7th, which is today.
Yes.
7th of June 2025. The Zambia Police Service wishes to refute false and misleading reports circulating on various social media platforms regarding the transfer of officer in charge of CHAWAMA Police Station, Mr. Francis Mulundu. A statement allegedly and attributed to the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Grafel Musamba. The service categorically states that the Inspector General of Police has not granted any interview to any media institution or individual concerning the transfer of Mr. Mulundu or recent incident in CHAWAMA. Consequently, all the statement being circulated and attributed to the Inspector General of Police are misleading and should be disregarded. Now listen. The Zambia Police Service further clarifies that transfers and depositions are routine administrative measures to governed by the terms and conditions of the service for public service and the Zambia Police Service standing order. Such transfers do not constitute disciplinary action. The statement goes further that the transfer of Mr. Mulundu, together with other senior officers from various police stations within Lusaka Division, forms part of a routine personnel rotation arrangement that were already under consideration before the recent incident in CHAWAMA compound. Any attempts to link these administrative transfers to the incident therefore is inaccurate and misleading. Members of the public are urged to disregard unverified information circulating on social media and rely only on official statement issued through reorganized Zambia Police Service communications channels. The Zambia Police Service remains committed to professionalism, impartiality, and maintenance of the rule and order. This was issued by Mr. Godfrey Chilawi, Zambia Police Service. What does this statement mean? Comrade Chobe. Just under a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was at pains, first of all, to understand why the police even issued that statement in the first place. But obviously, the question that we'll throw to our viewers to analyze or rather decipher is that you don't need a lot of intelligence to link, okay? To link the statement with the political move and what happened in CHAWAMA. So I think the question that we have to ask ourselves is that in as much as the police emphasizes that these are routine transfers, my question is that is it coincidence that these transfers are happening at the time the UPND demanded that the senior officers be moved out of CHAWAMA? Is it coincidence that these transfers are being occasioned after the violent incidences in CHAWAMA? Is it coincidence that the officers are being removed from CHAWAMA at the time that the ruling United Party for National Development doesn't want the officers to remain there?
So the transfer has been made.
That statement you've just read.
Yes,
You've just confirmed in that statement you've read. They are
that
saying
the transfers have been made.
But the police is saying the transfers are routine.
Routinely.
Okay.
Now IP and our viewers, I think this statement that you have read, it should have been spiced up with, for instance, to say, aside the CHAWAMA incidents, even the police officers who watched Garry being attacked have been removed. The same can be linked to what happened in CHAWAMA.
Right.
So if these transfers are routinely, as Mr. Chiabi is saying, to make people believe and not tie it to an incident in CHAWAMA because there was violence in CHAWAMA and the officer in charge has been removed, it was going to demystify whatever malicious statement has been attributed to Mr. Grafero Musamba.
Yeah.
To say it is not only in CHAWAMA. Because Mr. is saying it's routine, right?
Yes.
So
these plans were already underway.
Yes.
Or under consideration.
Under consideration. But the way to just say, to just single out the officer in charge in CHAWAMA after an incident that caused an embarrassment to the UPND, because the UPND has said there's no violence, but violence was there.
Right.
I think it doesn't make Zambians to be convinced to say this is a routine transfer.
Okay.
Because there are many incidences that are pointed to which should have been qualified in the statement.
Okay, so you talked about Garry Nkombo in Mazabuka and also the confusion which erupted in that area. So let's watch Honorable Garry Nkombo as well as part of our menu this evening. As we look at, his arrest which happened during the course of the week. Let's watch and listen to Honorable Garry Nkombo.
It is true that an arrest has been effected with 2 counts of assault, which count we have denied, and we are going to go to court to defend ourselves, and we are very hopeful that justice will prevail. For now, as you know, we all know that I'm not a media freak. I don't like talking to the media unnecessarily. But just to confirm that an arrest has been effected, I have been represented by Mr. Beauty Shanga, State Counsel, and 3 other lawyers, Dr. Brian Kaba, and 2 other gentlemen, Mr. Simbe and Mr. Masila. The interview was done professionally, I must say, without acrimony, and now we are just going to wait for justice's wheels to start turning. But also maybe just one short but large statement is to say, from my end, if I knew then what I know now, I'm sure I would have behaved differently. And that I personally did not see the future to be like this. And I can only say that from my eyes, the future is no longer what it used to be. Thank you.
When you listen to Honorable Garry Nkombo, I think it brings out, he speaks like, if you ask a Christian who tell you that Garry Nkombo spoke like Jesus Christ, during those days in the Bible, using parables. If I knew then what I know now, perhaps I would have behaved differently. That's a very poignant statement. I'll give you a minute, comrade. We need to cruise now. Comrade Chove.
Well, I think Garry Nkombo is, first of all, is a reflection of the leadership that we have or that you have, or what you see in the UPND. Okay, so if you look at Garry Nkombo's, I would loosely say, and with a lot of consideration and respect, I would say Garry Nkombo's fall from grace is well documented.
Right.
Okay, so he's a guy that literally crossed paths with the president, and of course the president doesn't like the fact that Garry appeared to have been challenging him. And let's face it, Garry is one of the few likable figures in the UPND.
Right.
He's a nice man. Okay,
right.
Even as a journalist, when I was practicing to speak to him as a source, he was one person that you enjoy talking to. So,
quite sober man,
very sober man.
Yeah.
But I can say this with a lot of clarity and a lot of conviction that what we have seen to happen to Garry Nkombo, a lot of people will fall into that trap.
Right.
This is not the last we have seen of a person outside, or a person from the UPND going the direction of Garry Nkombo. And I must also say that look, I think Garry Nkombo would be a very, very important factor in the remaining few days of the election, and I will not go into details. I'll leave it there.
Wait, Is he about? Is Garry Nkombo about to say something? You know, if I knew then what I know now, I would have behaved differently. Is he hinting to say something?
Yeah, and you know, when he was speaking, he actually said to say, "There's something that I want to say," and he just ended there, and he didn't ask follow-up questions.
He didn't say it
because he knew that if I allow these journalists to ask follow-up questions, I'm going to preempt a lot, but which he didn't want to do. So for me, Garry Nkombo is someone who is speaking now because he thinks he's done with the UPND.
And he has resigned, by the way, from the party, officially now.
He has resigned. I saw the other day the deputy SG for the UPND saying they can welcome him if he stops his rebellious conduct.
That was Honorable Batuke Menda.
Gertrude.
Oh, Gertrude Menda, the deputy.
Yes, the deputy.
Okay.
So now you can clearly see that.
Statement,
yeah, you can clearly see that on the side of Garry Nkombo is done. It's over. And again, the UPND, they also say we are also done with Garry Nkombo, but we can receive him if he stops his rebellious conduct. Wow. But what is this rebellious conduct? Voting against Bill 10 or having presidential ambitions, because to a club you have the right. But again, I don't think Garry Nkombo, if he's being viewed to hold presidential ambitions, he wanted to show them now. Probably he was looking at a time later when the term of President Hakainde Hichilema expires, which is in 2031. So him being removed now, it has actually given him a launch pad where he
he hasn't been removed. He has resigned.
He has resigned. So meaning he has given himself time to re-strategize, to have reflections and see what he can do. But is he the first politician in Zambia who was so close to the president, who worked so hard for the party to win, to be removed? The answer is no. We had the likes of Chief Shimbagambwiri, for instance. What did he do? He was out of favor from President Edgar Lungu. What did he do? He went and established his own political parties,
and abandoned
but he abandoned it and came back. So we are yet to see what will happen over Garry Nkombo.
We monitor the happenings in the UPND and of course other political parties. Let's again accommodate another story. Now the Constitutional Court dismissed Isaac MWANZA'S petition on independent candidates. According to what we covered, is that the petition lacked some merits in that regards. Your take, Choyu, again, I'll give you a minute or less if you can. I don't intend to leave any topic today, so let's accommodate all the topics.
Well, I think it was very important that the constitutional, the court made that decision because, look, if Isaac MWANZA had succeeded in that undertaking, it would have created a disaster for our democracy.
Very true.
Because what you have to realize is that to have independent candidates, it's our realization that democracy can only thrive in the environment of competition. So if Isaac's attempt had succeeded, then we would have, because I can tell you that we were talking about over 104,
101.
So if you are going to disqualify 104 candidates purely based on a technicality, the ultimate loser would have been democracy.
Wow. Wow.
Democracy was actually at risk. And you see, I have to say this just about the UPND. You know, there is this attempt to have, democracy thrives in the environment of competition. But under the UPND, what we have seen is an attempt to have this controlled democracy where if Mike and I decided to challenge each other, all I need is to reach out to Mike, he's my brother, and negotiate for him to drop from the rest. Okay? I'll succeed, but ultimately democracy suffers. And that is why you've got to, we have had a lot of incidences of people claiming to have been induced into withdrawing.
Yes.
Monies have been mentioned, offers have been mentioned, but you see, we cannot discuss that in detail because obviously we don't have the facts. But just to state that there is an attempt by the UPND not to have competition, and I've seen that systematically, and which is very bad for democracy.
Guess what my view is? I also want to applaud, for me, I hold a different view. I would want to applaud Isaac MWANZA for making that attempt. You know why? In my view, people, they should be reminded that you cannot go on and file on independence before you could clean your house where you're coming from. Be decisive. You want to go independent, prior to that, can you resign? Then from there, you go on your own. So you can't be married. I'll quote the ways of someone, I think, who said you can't be in a marriage again. You want to be single. You want to be single, exactly. So that attempt for me, it was healthy to awaken the people, because I saw quite a number of them after Isaac Mwanza put up that petition. They started resigning from their own political parties, which is good in my view. I could be wrong or right. Though.
Yeah, but also it's what you have raised again should be extended further. What do I mean? We also had a lot of candidates who applied as members of parliament on the UPND ticket and still remained civil servants.
Yes.
There you go.
You get my point. Okay. And also we had incidences where certain civil servants who applied to stand and were not adopted, they went back to being civil servants. So I think we have
the secas and the lawlessness. Yes, it's a secas.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's a secas which is not fun.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's a secas which is not fun. So we have to look at the whole environment holistically and not as an isolated incident. And for me, what if I were to meet Isaac, or if anyone who is interested, maybe this is also where you need to go to court, so that the court can pronounce itself clearly on at what point does someone divorce from being a civil servant in order to take up a political office. And then when you divorce from the civil service to take up a political post, if you don't succeed, do you go back to the civil service? So this for me is...
Do you know the money for me I've always blamed? And I will say it. I've said this before. I think the last 4 years I've mentioned this. And I'll say it again. The biggest money here to blame, if civil servants can be playing politics, you even make an attempt to apply to be adopted, and then later on you've not been adopted again, you go back to the civil service position. The only man for me whom I've seen is weak is Kangwa, is it Patrick Kangwa? He's the head of the civil service. He's supposed to crack the whip. He's supposed to clean the system. You can't be issuing empty statements.
But I think we have to defend Mr. Kangwa.
Please do that.
Yeah, I'll try to speak for PK. For sure. Yeah, look, Patrick Kangwa is a seasoned public servant. Okay. His entire life has been around public service. He knows these rules. But where the problem is, the president himself, who appointed Patrick Kangwa, goes on the platform and he tells candidates, is it in Western Province, to say, look, if can you drop from the race? We'll find something for you. Yes. Okay, within the civil service, we'll find something for you. Because if now, if the head of the president tells you that you can move away from politics and I'll find you a job within the civil service, how do you expect Mr. Patrick Kangwa to go against the desires of his appointing authority?
But he's in charge, Comrade Chiwoyo.
No. He's not in charge.
Patrick Kangwa is in charge of the civil servants.
Who is the boss between PK and the president?
The president is a politician, you know, and he doesn't deal with his civil servants. The man who is in charge of all the civil servants is Patrick Kangwa. And if the environment is difficult on the part of PK, Patrick Kangwa, why not resign if you got tomorrow's?
No, but here is the question. So if PK decided to crack the whip, okay, he fires a civil servant who is actively participating in politics, and that civil servant goes back to the president and tells the president that I've been fired and because I'm actively participating in politics. And your instruction was, for some of us who did not succeed politically, we needed to be offloaded into the civil service. Where does that put PK?
Better you are fired on morality. You walk with your head high in society. I was fired because I did what was right. That's the thing. So for me, I would defend the president Hakainde Hichilema. That is not the one to blame. He's not in charge of the civil service. I'll go back to PK. He's the man whom I feel is weak.
But who appointed PK?
No.
He's the president.
No.
We'll hear from the viewers.
We can't. I also support you because I think what needs to be changed is the constitutional powers of the secretary to cabinet. Once we do that, then things are not going to be as they are now. Because The secretary to cabinet is appointed by President Edgar Lungu.
HS.
President Hakainde Hichilema. The district commissioners are appointed by President Hakainde Hichilema. The deputy permanent secretary are appointed by President Hakainde Hichilema. Why have I said the the district commissioner?
Yes.
I have an example of the Lundazi district commissioner. She had applied, and at some point she was rumored to have been adopted. Then, miraculously, she was not adopted. She went back to her role as a deputy, the district commissioner. You have Undi, is it Beauty Undi?
Yeah,
she Northern Province PS. Is it deputy or PS?
She's deputy PS.
She's deputy PS. She was vying for Kasenengwa.
Yes.
And again, they were likely that she would be adopted, but when it didn't come out in her favor, she went back to her role.
You can't.
These things were saying actually happened. You can ask people in Lundazi, they will tell you the same things. You can ask people in Northern Province, they will tell you the same thing. So the issue that we need to change is the secretary to cabinet to have the power to appoint, because he's also appointed. So how we have seen stories?
Can the politicians allow you to as a secretary to cabinet?
I think this is how we are going to make the civil servant, the civil service professional.
Right. Those are the reforms.
Do you remember we had the incident of the Isoka DC and the Isoka Northern Province Permanent Secretary.
Muchinga.
Yes. You see what happened?
That shut down.
Where the PS was claiming to be more powerful. And the DC.
He says we are all appointed by the same person.
and at the end of the day, who was the victim? The PS. The DC remained. The DC remained.
Okay.
So this is why I'm saying, in future, if we want to make the civil service professional,
yes,
the appointing authority should not be centered on President Hakainde Hichilema.
Okay, let's leave that debate. I think the viewers will also help us by sending those messages. Oh my goodness. I wanted to ask you to comment on the Mao SAMPA was endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema, but let's have a short clip quickly.
And my endorsement of the 2026 presidential candidate, my Mao SAMPA, Mao's Emmanuel Waria SAMPA, and the PF, these are seated here, and the Central Committee. What is our endorsement? We will not sit idle. While I was late, I was consulting those I think are important in the life of people. And some of them were saying, no, just stay quiet for the next 5 years. I said, you know, not having quiet. If you have to sit idle, you sit alone. This is my country. This is their country. At any point in time, we have to take a position. What is good for Zambia? Those who want to say, no, just watch and stay idle, you watch yourself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 to 2026 season is officially over. The last season of 5 years was officially over when Parliament was dissolved last month. The transfer window or endorsement window is open. Namo phase na kuipia kula transfer window ya Islam. Mbappe now is a free agent. Mbappe is a free agent for the coming season from 2026 to 2031. Real Madrid was disqualified. But Mbappe will not just stay either. Who will he play for in the meantime? On Sunday last week, 13th May 2026, the PF Central Committee met to decide on who to back for the top contender for the president of Zambia, for the good of Zambia. Because whoever becomes president, whether you like it or not, is a president for you as well. So we might as well have a say. The decision was anonymous meaning everyone agreed. By all those that attended, a quorum was formed. Yes. And the decision was that due to economic strides scored in the last 5 years, yes, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of the current bona fide members, there are many Gonga members, on behalf of the current bona fide members of the PF, on the current bona fide MCs on the PF here, I do hereby endorse President as the best candidate in the August presidential election.
SAMPA, he has endorsed President HH in less than a minute.
Decentralization.
Oh,
and another value we believe in as an empowerment that is able to get down to the people. Although they've not 100% met the expectation of the Zambian people, on the balance of things, we think Chintu Mwene. We can give them a benefit of doubt and entrust them with another mandate. But this should not make the UPND complacent and neglect the promises that they promised to address the Zambian people, especially reducing the high cost of living. Under these difficult circumstances, the choice available, we have resolved to endorse the candidature of His Excellency Chaka Ndechidema in this year's election, because I believe that what builds the country is policy consistency and not change of government. For now, I want to state that as New Congress Party, and I as Peter Chanda, I want to state that I've come to terms with the reality of the fact that if you can't beat them.
Maos represents what we don't want to see in our Zambian politics.
Which one is that?
People with no moral standing. Okay? Maos has been around. First of all, let's discuss the issue, and I'll say it in just a few lines.
Yeah.
The current mess the PF finds itself in is deep-rooted in Mao Sampa's behavior.
As the co-author?
Well, I think is the sole author. Okay. The others just were accomplices. They just joined it. Okay. But also the bigger picture is, to the UPND is that they know Mao is treacherous. Okay, and his record is well documented. So for me, the question to the UPND is, today if you bring Maos into your Ford, what value is he adding to the UPND? Right. And also, what guarantees do you have that Maos is, because let's face it, Maos is not joining the UPND because he desires to. Maos is a stranded politician. Where can he go now? He cannot even stand as member of parliament. Yeah. So he's actually in a very bad shape politically.
He attempted in Lima to stand as an independent.
And he withdrew.
He withdrew.
Because he knew that the prospects of him winning Lima were extremely slim. So he's a politician that gives you this, there are certain politicians that just makes politics to look like a dirty game. And I think this behavior is, for me, is one of those traits that just gives politics a bad image. So when I see him joining the UPND, I'm not surprised, because if he didn't join the UPND, where else was he going to?
The flip-flop.
But that's typical of Maos.
And I asked myself that, do they have a sense of shyness? You members, you say,
exactly.
What does it mean?
Well, at the end of the day, you need to have dignity as a human being, okay? In whatever you are pursuing, you need to have the capacity to say, to decipher. You need the capacity, even in politics, to add some levels of morality, okay? You need to have decency, okay? You need to have that ability to show or to give you direction that you need to stand for something.
You can't do certain things.
Yeah, you can't do certain. It's not everything that you can do. And most important, you need to have the moral stamina. Right. Okay, you need to stand on the pedestal and say, okay, this is what I believe.
Exactly.
In. So now, when you look at Mao's, for the last, maybe we can just say from 2014.
Let's take it 2015.
Yeah.
How it has been.
How many political parties has it been?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, you see, I criticized the PF at when they allowed Maos to return. Okay, I criticize that because if Maos was to be allowed, or if Maos were to be embraced back in the PF, he needed to. Do you realize that Maos owes this country an explanation as to what happened to the PF?
I hear you. Maybe are those the same people who are supposed to answer the question from President Hakainde Hichilema to say sometimes I hear some people want to come back. They're coming back to do what? Because Mao SAMPA is going to the UPND.
So
he has gone there to do what? Chabinga is part of the UPND from the PF. He has gone there to do what? Yeah. We've got Mungandu, Davison. They have gone there to do what?
Yeah.
They're quite a lot. Lifuekero. They have gone there to do. Comrade Max Chola, quickly, your take.
I think...
less than a minute, please.
I think with a lot of regret, Mao SAMPA has gone back. Does it mean that convention that he did was always going to be what he stood on? Because that convention that he held is what made the PF not to be on the ballot this year. Because Mao SAMPA, according to him, he says that political party was formed by his uncle. So is it a planned move to ensure that the party that was formulated by my uncle, he passed on, may his soul rest in peace, should not be anywhere with anyone? It is me who should kill it.
So kill it.
Politically, he killed the PF. We are no longer talking about the PF on the ballot, and now he's going back to the people that supported him to say, I've now endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema. And President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND, I think you need to be very careful with these people that are endorsing you. Some of these people, they don't mean well for the ideologies and the plan of the UPND. President Hakainde Hichilema and others have told us to say, and a crocodile in Kafue River is a crocodile in Zambezi River. In reference to these politicians who are moving from the PF, coming to the UPND. The UPND needs to be very careful. I know politics, they say it's about numbers.
But in
and morals should also be upholded.
I hear you.
So this issue, with a lot of regret, because there are also these rumors flying around to say, no, even given Lubinda wants to go to the UPND. Now, if these things come to pass, we are going to ask questions. Was it deliberate that given Lubinda did not make moves to ensure that the PF remained as strong as people expected? So these questions, if they happen, then people are going to say, I think this was a planned move.
That's if given Lubinda.
That's if he
moves in that direction.
He moves or endorses President Hakainde.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We have to go. Comrade Chiwoyu, I'm so grateful for that deep analysis you've given us this evening over the stories that were lined up today. Thank you so much, Comrade.
Thank you very much. And by the way, are you traveling to Eastern Province for the film?
No, I'll be here.
Okay.
I'm around. Worry not.
Yeah, so I think at this point, we can just pray for the soul of our departed chief to rest it in eternal peace, and most importantly, for the country to remain united as we mourn this great giant. So have a good evening to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Mike Sichula. Thank you so much for that wonderful usual research and deep analysis.
Thank you, IP. And just conclude why we're not going to powder you. Your chief, your forefather, Chief Zoengandala, is buried in our location in Nakonde. So we are giving you.
We are mourning together.
I saw that man. What's that man? I saw that man in the news somewhere. I always say, no, we just continue smearing them powder. How do you incite violence?
No, in fact, the powder is okay. I think we will be doing mini meal.
That's interesting. All right, thank you so much to you, the viewers out there, for that, of course, viewership and the comments you've sent us this evening. It's been a fantastic program. This evening, we're back again next week. William Chongo, my director behind the scenes, and also your team. We appreciate you for that work. Thank you so much. This is the analysis program. May God bless Zambia. May God bless Mother Africa. Good night.
Did you know that registered voters and patriotic Zambians alike from across the country watch and follow KBN TV as Zambia decides this August for in-depth analysis of political news and information? Stay with KBN TV.